Hey y'all, and welcome to the third video in the lore speculation series, where we put on our tinfoil hats and talk a little bit about the spoilers that have come out. So that being said, there are spoilers in this video. First off, the new Arbiter. So, alright, the first thing I've seen in 9.2 that has me going, what the heck, is that Pelagos is going to be the next Arbiter. Like, how does he even get there? Don't get me wrong, like, I've played through the Kyrian storyline, and Pelagos' character development throughout Shadowlands, even if you've only been Kyrian to see it, is pretty good. But seeing Pelagos become the new Arbiter, well, I wasn't sure about it, so I went ahead and I played through the Kyrian portion of the 9.1 storyline. And it makes a little bit more sense then. I mean, obviously, Pelagos has always fully understood the concept of choice. He is the one who chose a male body after coming to Shadowlands, after all. And yeah, now that I've played through the 9.1 campaign, I can now definitely see where they were prepping Pelagos to at least become something more. I mean, he spent time talking to Nicholas in the of the Forsworn. You know, he's been introduced to all kinds of different ideas from the different covenants, and he's really starting to understand all different points of view. And then towards the end, when you put Adrestes in as a paragon of devotion, Pelagos will sit there and talk to Uther about how terrible it is for a soul to have to go to the Maw, and how he's got so much compassion for them and reckons they can all be redeemed. Now, Pelagos is built upon compassion, and I think that's going to be very important for him while he's in the role of the Arbiter. Look, I am sure we'll see more in 9.2 as to why Pelagos becomes the Arbiter, but, you know, I don't hate the choice. I know a lot of people are like, it should have been Sylvanas, but we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So the next thing I want to talk about is the jailer attacking Azeroth. So from data mine spoilers, we know that he does. You know, in like phase 3 of the big jailer fight, he is sending attacks to Azeroth, and we have to help defend her. It's something that we're going to obviously have to figure out a way that we can counteract it. And there's been some really good information on Icy Veins, actually, about the room that the jailer will be based in. It's kind of a hexagonal room, and it shows that Azeroth is going to be right in the middle of the room. So obviously giving credence to the concept that the Shadowlands is kind of, I don't know, up in the sky or something. We're looking down on Azeroth. So we as the players are going to need to help our home planet. We already know that Azeroth has been pretty badly injured, thanks to Sargeras and his big-ass sword. Speaking of which, are we ever going to remove that sword? What would be interesting, though, is at the end of the fight, or maybe even as a mythic-only phase, Azeroth finally awakens and joins us in the fight proper. Maybe. Not tinfoil hatting, so maybe, you know, Azeroth does her big awakening. By the way, if you've seen the Eternals, spoilers for Eternals, it won't be that she'll completely destroy life on Azeroth as with the emergence in the Eternals. Think about Argus and the fact that he was able to actually be born and the planet was still there. Anyway, she turns in, you see this great Titan form, and Azeroth rises up, and she takes the big-ass sword of Sargeras out of, you know, her planet. It'd be really, really cool if that happens, and there's like a scar on her body where like the sword was stuck in. And she just goes and fights the jailer at the very end. Bam, bam, bam. I think that would be absolutely wicked. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think that would be absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, there you go. That's my thought about what's going to happen with the jailer and Azeroth fight. Now, part 3. Arthas and Anduin. Yeah, so we know that someone who is the Fallen King will join into the Anduin fight. I also know that per my previous video, I did state I thought it would be unlikely that Arthas would be a part of the fight, and that we'd have to possibly fight him. And I was both wrong and right. So it looks like this fallen king, who I would actually pay money as Arthas, is going to be somebody that we do fight during that fight. Now, what's been going on with Arthas? I mean, Dude Bro's been stuck in the maw for years now, and he's been tormented, and obviously the jailer feels some sort of, connection to him, especially because, being the jailer decided to help dominate him and make him into the Lich King. So what has that done to Arthas' soul? I mean, Arthas' soul potentially had redemption power before Uther just kind of yeeted it into the maw, right? So what does that mean? Does that mean that Arthas has just completely become unredeemable? Is that going to be the first soul that Pelagos has to redeem? Who knows? And in this fight as well with Anduin, what sort of connection does Arthas and the domination magic have together to break that with Anduin? Obviously, we're going to have a chance to see. Hopefully, we'll be able to see soon when the 9.2 PTR comes out. And now, our good old friend Sylvanas. What's going to happen to her? Well, there are lots and lots of people thinking that Sylvanas would become the next Arbiter, and boy, were we wrong. So what's going to happen? I mean, she's technically still undead. She's not one of the souls in the Shadowlands, so she can still return to go to Azeroth. I mean, Tyrande would probably enjoy that because it would make Sylvanas pay for her crimes. But will Sylvanas pay for her crimes? I think that Blizzard is going to be going down a path of redemption for Sylvanas, and I think there's a couple of things that could happen. She's either going to remain in the Shadowlands and potentially even take over for the jailer in the Maw. I think that's highly unlikely, but you never know. Maybe she remains in the Shadowlands and works with Uther and the other Curing of Devotion to get used to having all of her soul back and to begin to atone for her crimes. That has potential. Sylvanas could return to Azeroth, and she could return to Azeroth as a prisoner of the Alliance, and more specifically Tyrande. She could be put in the stockades, and we don't focus on her for an expansion or two, and we all kind of forget that she's there. She's atoning for her sins, and in an expansion or two, they trot her out, and bam, here's Sylvanas. Maybe. And I think this is most likely, I think she's going to possibly sacrifice herself to save Azeroth during the jailer encounter. I think that it's redemption, it's paying for her crimes, and it's doing all that. Now, it is a little bit of destruction of a fan favorite character, so that may not happen, but we'll have to see how that goes. Don't forget, there is a Sylvanas book coming out in March. So that's it for me, guys. Some speculation about the lore. Please feel free to like and subscribe, and let me know what you think is going to be happening in 9.2. Feel free to go ahead and put them down below. And as always, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and have a bright day.